month marked the 10th birthday of Facebook. Now, Facebook, social media in general, may have changed the way we communicate with each other on a personal level, but is it ready to tackle the bigger issues? With me in the studio today is Rebecca Jorgensen. Rebecca, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, we're talking about this very hot topic at the moment, and with more important people, public figureheads, etc., trying to become more visible on the likes of Facebook, on the likes of different social media. How do you think this is affecting the face of political communication? To your knowledge, how has interaction between government officials and the community at a larger scale really changed through this?
The first thing I would say is I just wrote an article for a book called Information Warfare about the fact that this cycle of media innovation and then government involvement has been going on for centuries. This is, in a way, nothing new. The government sees that there's something better for communicating that people are starting to use, and they start to get involved. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing kind of depends on the circumstances. Right now we see government officials starting to make more use of it in ways they never have, but at the same time, then if they misuse it, the public will start to get wary and move on to other ways of communicating.
Now, in England, the local government they're deliberately trying to raise the standards of their digital group. This looks as though 2014 is a year where social media, digital world is going to be put at the top of the table and, perhaps allowed to grow. So if that's the bigger picture, what about in terms of local government? Where do you see this version or this mainstream growing, would you say?
I think that it's very wise for local governments to use it and to try to use it as a way to better communicate with the public, because other forms of media have kind of lost that component of public information and interest. So that's very valuable. But in a way, cable did this before in terms of local public access. The big thing will be how they develop methods to maintain people's interest in what they're talking about. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if they learn to use it or not.
Of course. Now, what you said earlier about there being whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, as with every advance in technology, they're not without their problems. There has been a suggestion that governments now don't need informers. People voluntarily, they put their information online. They choose to do that. They tell them their most intimate details, etc. So therefore, it does seem to be a fine line between whether social media is used as a tool or as a weapon. What do you think of that?
I totally tell my students, I would suggest to anyone, do not put anything on Facebook that you would not like somebody to walk in your house and see. And we do know that there is a big difference between the privacy that people believe exists for them if they're on social media versus what you might do on a public street. Mm-hmm. So I think that's an ongoing issue. The extent to which that is being watched has changed, but at the same time there are movements to try to give people more protections, and that is going to happen. So
yeah, well, hopefully. And also, some people say 2014 is not going to be enough for governments to have the token Facebook account or Twitter handle, as it were. They're going to have to be using Snapchat, Instagram. It's getting bigger, the world's getting wider, and they're going to have to jump on board, basically. How do you see all this playing out?
The first thing I would say is that when government officials, just like me, I'm pretty savvy about a lot of things, but I'm always turning to my daughter and my son and saying, so what's new? What's happening? What do you guys use? And for them, things like Facebook are already passé, and a long time ago they figured out that there are better forms. So I think a lot of times the government is always trailing behind the other innovations, and that will continue, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't learn how to use them.
Definitely. Well, it's a hot topic, as we said, and we will see what's trending in the future, but thank you so much for coming in and sharing your insights with us, Rebecca. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, well, that's all from Rebecca and myself for the moment, but make sure you click back to Dukascopy TV for many more exclusive interviews. Goodbye for now.